We've got a fun show planned out for everyone today, but first, help us reach 10,000 subscribers here at the channel. Just over 500 subs away. Make sure to hit that big red button, join the channel. Plus, if you've already subscribed, hit that little bell icon to get those notifications on, because we'll be giving shout-outs to the Noti Gang at the end of today's show. Today's Browns Report is presented to you by Aura, an all-in-one digital safety tool that keeps yourself, your wallet, and your loved ones protected when you are online. Start that 14-day free trial at aura.com/chatsports. We'll tell you more about their awesome services later on in the show. But speaking of the show, an interesting story came across the wire. I should add, hope you all had a wonderful 4th of July. Happy to be back with everyone in front of the camera. But an interesting story came out right before the fireworks started going off about Baker Mayfield and whether or not we could see a new trade partner emerging, because all the talk has been Seattle or Carolina. Well, could there be door number 3, right? Could there be a secret team that might come out of the dark and all of a sudden trade for Baker and blow everyone's mind? Michael Balko, who tweeted a couple weeks ago about Baker, and it picked up some steam, tweeted this out on July 3rd, saying the Seahawks and the Browns are still in discussions regarding quarterback Baker Mayfield. A deal was close to done, but a new team has reportedly entered the Mayfield sweepstakes as well. Stay tuned. Listen, guys, I have no idea how credible this 8,000 Twitter follower Michael Balko is, who in his bio doesn't really clearly state who he works for, but just who he contributes for. But regardless, we're going to talk about it because it's early July, and we'll have some fun with where Baker could end up that maybe isn't the popular answer like Carolina or Seattle. I will add, before we start looking at some trade destinations, when you've got a blue check mark like Michael does, it feels like you can just tweet anything and it seems credible. But I'm not really sure. I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket. I personally would not invest much stock in what he's saying about Baker Mayfield. But if it is going to be a secret, a mystery team that trades for Baker, what about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? That's my number 3 team. We'll go through 2 and 1, but we'll run through each team and maybe talk ourselves into why it could make sense, right? Why it could make a little bit of sense for Baker Mayfield to get traded to the Bucs. We got to keep in mind, Tom Brady is a wild card. Who knows, honestly? I don't think Brady knows how long he's going to play for. He took a 40-day retirement and then, like Jesus, after Easter, came out and was like, yeah, carpool sucked. I'd rather play football than chill at home. So I'm going to come back and play another season. I want to believe this will be his last year, but I'm not going to bet against Brady. For all I know, he literally could play until he's 50. But if the Bucs want to think ahead a little bit, and they think we could be a team that gets Baker for cheap, you know what I'm saying? This is a quarterback who, and we'll look at his stats in a moment, had an awesome 2020 campaign. Now, everyone's out on him right now, somewhat deservingly so because of how bad he was last season. But if the Bucs are sitting there thinking, all it costs is a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick to get a player who had 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 3,500 yards just one season ago, 2020, or 2 years ago right now, wouldn't be blown away if the Bucs are thinking post-Brady and think Baker could be got for cheap. He could be a nice long-term plan. We could sit him behind Brady, let him learn for his season, kind of grow out of some, maturity issues and emotional stuff. You know what I'm talking about. So Baker to the Bucs would be an interesting candidate, an interesting mystery team. But let me ask this question to you guys right off the bat here. Where is Baker going to play in 2022? Right? Will it be the Seahawks, the Panthers, or do you want to take the field? Just go with other. Let me know which team you could see Baker playing for in 2022. Sound off in the comments section below. All right, let's move on to the next mystery team trade destination. What about the Atlanta Falcons, right? The Falcons are in a weird, Who knows what they're trying to do state, and we'll look at more of that in just a moment. But first, I want to tell everyone watching about our proud sponsor, which is Aura. Because listen, we do more online than ever before, right? We purchase everything we do online. Our whole lives are online. So you should stay protected when you're online, and that's what Aura does. Plus, they're offering the Dawg Pound, a 14-day free trial. When you go to aura.com/chatsports, you have to use that link, which I have in the comments and the description of today's video. So start your 14-day free trial and stay protected online thanks to Aura across the board. So let's get back to Baker to the Falcons, though. Bringing in Baker, in my opinion, offers some real competition to what I think might be the worst quarterback situation in the NFL. Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. Ridder last year for Cincinnati, I was not keen on. He's shown some great moments, some great flashes, but I think the Falcons just figured, you know what, he's kind of worth a day 2, day 3 pick. Why don't we just throw a dart at the board and see if it works out? If not, what are we really missing out on here? Now, Mariota is interesting because the last 2 seasons he's been in Vegas where he's predominantly rode the bench, partially because of injuries, but also because Derek Carr is not bad enough to bench for Mariota, who stunk it up towards the tail end of his time in Tennessee. Do you really want to, if you're the Falcons, you really want to roll with a quarterback who has thrown 30 total passes over the last 2 seasons? There's no debate there's no question in my mind that Baker Mayfield, if he were to step into that Falcons roster right now, he would improve the team. Atlanta is better with Baker. No one should be kidding themselves or trying to talk themselves out of that. Now, the Falcons know they're not doing much this year. So do they want to trade a pick for a quarterback when they're not really trying to make a lot of noise in the NFC South? I could understand why that probably not, secret tank operation. But head coach Arthur Smith entering his 2nd year down in ATL, does he want to tank? Probably not. I'm guessing he'd like to get the best quarterback possible on his team. And Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, is notorious for we're never going to settle or just, go half-ass and half-tank and see what happens. No, he wants to put together the best football team possible, and Baker Mayfield could absolutely do that. We've got more surprise candidates to get to in just a second, but I got an off-the-wall question for everyone watching. What is a random NFL team you do not like? You can't just say the Steelers or the Ravens. That's too predictable. But what is a team, maybe you lost, a five-leg parlay because of them, and they were big money line favorites and they blew it. Let me know what's a random NFL team you just can't stand for not a really good rhyme or reason, but just cuz. Finally, the number 1 trade destination for Baker, if it was a mystery team, the Detroit Lions. A team we've talked about on the show before, but it's been a while. So let's revisit some of our notes about why maybe Baker to Detroit could make some sense. I think it makes sense for a handful of reasons. The first one, and the biggest one being, his buddy John Dorsey, right, the GM who selected him number 1 overall in 2018, yeah, he works in Detroit now. He's a part of the Lions front office. So that could make some sense for the Browns and for the Lions to have Dorsey reunite with Baker Mayfield. Now, it is important to note that Jared Goff's contract isn't the friendliest to work around, right? In fact, we can look at Goff's contract right now. His base salary this season, $10.6 million. All right, that's fine. But that's not really what I'm looking at here. His dead cap hit for this year is $41.1 million. Goff's not going anywhere, okay? He is going to play. He's going to be on the Lions roster this year. They are not cutting someone and owing him $41.1 million. Next season, they can much easier get out of that contract. But for this year, Jared Goff is staying put in Detroit. Now, when you compare Baker to Goff last season, it's a better slate for Jared Goff. I mean, more touchdowns, fewer interceptions, a better rating, a better across the board now that I'm looking at it. But still, when they're at their best, and Jared Goff isn't holding hands with Sean McVay, who definitely did a lot of the heavy lifting for that team, who's a better quarterback? Right? I think it's Baker Mayfield. I think when Baker's healthy, you take 2020 Baker, compare that to Goff in the last 2 seasons, I go Baker 8 times out of 10. Now, I will add, Detroit's roster is sneaky good. And I think this is one of the reasons why Baker to Detroit could make some sense. They've put together a team that I think a lot of people are ignoring because it's the Lions. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions are like, you know what? We're looking around the NFC landscape right now, and we're tired of being the seller of the North. Why don't we go out and get an improved quarterback at Baker and pair him with some of our key players, all right? They picked Aiden Hutchinson, who I thought should have gone first overall, the number 2 spot in this past draft class. They got Jameson Williams. Remember we were talking about who the Browns should pick at 13, and I was all in on Williams? Well, he ends up in Detroit. TJ Hawkinson is one of the better tight ends in football. You got Penei Sewell, their first-round pick from last year. He looked awesome in his rookie season. And then, of course, Jeff Okudah, right? Former top 5 pick who unfortunately has been derailed by injuries so far in his career. But there's a lot of optimism and hope that this year he'll get right and he'll look like what he looked like in Columbus, which was one of the best corners who's got a rare breed of size, 6'1", 6'2", and speed at the same time. So this could make a ton of sense to me in terms of Baker ending up in Detroit. Because I'm thinking about Dan Campbell. He wants to bite some kneecaps off. He does not want to waste another season if he does not think Jared Goff is the best quarterback that he could feasibly get. And Baker Mayfield could be feasibly got and be a big upgrade from Jared Goff and help this Lions team battle in the NFC. Not saying they're going to become contenders with Baker necessarily, but the NFC's kind of cheeks this year. So shout out to Micro Mike over at our Lions show at Chat Sports. Wouldn't be blown away if Baker and Dorsey reunite in the Motor City. But if you guys had to pick the better quarterback, who would you pick? I think it's Baker. I put 6 for Baker. I think Baker's a better quarterback than Jared Goff. I know Goff statistically may have Baker beat in a lot of ways, but I look back to Jared Goff's time in LA, and Sean McVay was just doing, Merlin magic with that Rams offense, and Jared Goff was just lucky to be there, in my opinion. And last year in Detroit, granted, it's tough when you lose Cooper Kupp, when you go from an offense with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's your top guy in Detroit. But still, give me Baker Mayfield. Hopefully Detroit feels the same way. All right, to wrap up the show here, I just want to give a quick shout out to all of our Noti gang. So the way this works is for people that comment early on in a video when it gets posted, I take notice of that. You got your notifications on, you got that bell clicked on, and you're commenting first. So if you want to be on the Noti gang and get a shout out on a future show, super simple stuff. Just click that bell icon, click all, get notifications set up, and boom, you can get a shout out on a future Browns report like Nolan, KJ and Grant, Dawg Pound, Tim, Ray. Appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for tuning into today's show. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Matthew Petey. I've got that link in the comments and the description of today's show. I'll be tweeting about the Browns and whatnot, so hit me up over there.